right. So as you know by now, my name is Henry Esau. I am one of the founder members of EduFocus novice projects. And my job, my function in the organization is really to look at mostly the business side of matters, meaning marketing, promotions, anything to do with the business side of things. I'm not, as you know by now, I'm not a trained teacher, although I did my first and second year towards my teaching qualification, and I then decided, look, this is not going to work for me, and I then ventured into business, where I started at Transnet and fairly quickly progressed through the ranks at Transnet to the point where I became one of the youngest regional sales and marketing managers at Transnet back in the day. And for me, that was really where my passion for business and for anything finance and business development started. So when I speak to you guys this morning, I have to just give you this disclaimer that I'm not a financial advisor, or that I'm not affiliated to any professional finance regulatory body. My presentation will take on the form of a reflexive discussion. So I will really just chat with you guys, and the idea is that I will facilitate a discussion between you and myself so that we can come up with ideas. I'm not going to call them best practice ideas, but so that we can just talk to one another and say, this is what works for me, and perhaps this is something that you can incorporate in your plan. Because the way I see financial well-being, it's very subjective to a particular person. All right. So let me just tell you what we're going to discuss, and then I will show you how it fits into the overall well-being, the holistic well-being approach that we every week that we are talking about. Okay, so we're going to start off by defining financial well-being. Just look at what other people are saying about it. We're going to look at what constitutes a normal working cycle of a human being. Then we're going to look at something that I've discovered, um, the tendency that things happen in threes, and there's a theory for that. But we're not going to go in too deep this morning into academic speak. We are going to make it as practical as possible. Then I would like to look at budgeting, and then for a short while we will talk about entrepreneurship. Okay, so these are the topics that we will be discussing. I cannot see your comments. So if you don't mind, if you want to stop me or ask a question, please just continue. Open your mic and just ask the question, and I will try my very best to answer you. And if I can't, I will refer you to somebody that will be able to assist you in that regard. Okay, so the question is, what is financial well-being? Is there anybody who would like to venture an answer or give me an idea of what you think financial well-being is all about? Anybody? I'm looking for one or two people, please. And it's not a tricky question. Just your perception of when would you say that you are financially well? Anybody? Ladies?
I I can't
Hi.
see a way
Just
to raise my hand, but it's Najma.
state your name. Hi,
Yeah.
Najma. Yes.
So for me, financial well-being is you don't have to be filthy rich, but you just need to
Okay.
be have a certain amount of money that you have in savings,
Mm,
that you can live comfortably, and then just
mm,
as in case of an emergency, you do have some sort of backup. Because when you have
Mm.
that assurity of a little bit of something in case of a rainy day, um,
Mm.
you you don't stress about it. So
Yes.
emotionally, you have emotional well-being as well when you are financially stable. So that is
Yes.
what I feel it is.
I think I must just actually say, guys, thank you very much for a wonderful morning and close because Najma, that is such a comprehensive answer. That's amazing. Anybody, thank you very much for that. Anybody else that wants to add to Najma uh, what she said? Anybody else? Just open your mic and talk. Okay, nobody there. Okay. All right. This is what the intellectuals are saying about financial well being. Exactly what Najma said. Financial well being is a state of being wherein a person can fully meet current and ongoing financial obligations, can feel secure in their financial future, and is able to make choices that allow them to enjoy life. So at the end of the day, we know that, let's call it, not being financially well will place a tremendous strain on you. So it then infiltrates all the other areas of your life. Okay, so it is important that we understand that there's a linkage between being financially well and being holistically well. Okay, so a second person, Bryn Chartier, says financial well-being is a state of being where a person can meet current and ongoing, basically the same financial obligations, feel secure in their financial future, and is able to make choices that allow them to live life to the fullest. That is important, okay? To be able to have a full and a meaningful life. When individuals have a low financial well being, they may be under strain and feel high levels of stress. Exactly what Najma said and what I kept on telling you. Okay, so now I ventured into giving my idea of financial well being. I said financial well being is when a person has adequate financial resources to meet past, present, and future financial commitments without feeling unduly burdened by these obligations. It's the financial freedom to express one's beliefs, priorities, and holistic well being goals. Okay? That is Henry Esau. In that, that came to me in the early hours of this morning because in my mind, financial um, commitments means that we start off maybe with some debt. So you have past commitments, you must still live, present commitments, and you have future commitments being retirement, investments, and so on. And what your finances must reflect. It must reflect your belief system, who you are as a person. So if somebody once said, show me your bank statement and I will be able to tell you what kind of person you are. So if your bank statement reflects um, entertainment or restaurants, um, maybe 2 sheets of restaurant spending, it, we can quickly see what kind of person you are. So your financial patterns will say a lot about you, and we will be able to pick up um, what you prioritize. Okay, so let's carry on. Okay, so why can I not go to there we go. So like I said, excuse me, dance wellness dimensions. These are the dimensions, some of the dimensions that we've already covered. Okay, we've covered occupational. We started with occupational. We covered spiritual. We've covered emotional. Last week we've covered no, sorry, we've covered environmental, and last week we've covered intellectual. Okay, so all of these rest on financial because you will. you will agree with me this morning that if you don't have money, if you're not financially well, you tend to skip on other areas of priority. So you will see that somebody is maybe not eating well enough. uh, Perhaps they don't do well at work. They come to work, they stressed, they constantly asking their colleagues for short-term loans. They're frustrated. They uninspired. They spiritually not well. Um, they don't even they don't even think about studying further or bettering themselves. So your financial stability or your financial well-being has a direct impact on every other element of this holistic well-being uh, wheel that we were talking about. All right, just an idea of where everything is going. Okay, so I'm saying let's get this party started. In my mind, um, life happens as a normal bell curve. This is just a normal bell curve, okay? Um, it is a normal distribution chart that I've just plotted on a screen like this, where a human being would move from being an infant to the point of death. Okay, in a nutshell, that is basically it. Now, if you consider that the first and the second part, or the first and the third part of your lifespan, of your life cycle, you have very little control over what is going on financially, because as a child, up until your adolescence, you are dependent on your parents or on somebody else to provide for you financially. Then you have a working life, and then you have retirement, where again you basically are living off what you have gathered over time, and or you living off a welfare grant or pension. Okay, so you have what we call a productive third of your life, basically. And during that time, you have to raise as much funds or work so well with your money that you are financially well for the rest of your life, and that you are able to leave some kind of inheritance for your children that comes after you, okay, or for your loved ones. What this chart also tells me is that you will at some stage reach a prime in your life, okay? And that little up curve that you see there, that is what we call a point of innovation, where you try to extend that the life of that upward curve, okay? So when you're an adult, you have to do certain things that will almost speed up um, your wealth creation, your ability to create wealth. And so, all I'm saying is that while we are doing all the other things, please be aware that you have a window of opportunity. Okay, you have a window of opportunity, and it leads us into this whole idea of things happening in threes. Okay, so I would say that from from birth until about 25, you are a in a childhood phase up to adolescence. Okay, some of us are lucky enough that we went to school early, and so we finished our degrees early, and so we've got 1 or 2 years ahead of the rest of the pack. But essentially, by 25, you should be settled in your job. You should be in a position to earn money, okay, to be productive in the workforce. Between 25 and 50, those are your best years. All right. Those are the years when you have your kids, you get married, you buy your first car, you've got your first house, all of the commitments, and you don't care about anything in life. Life is good. And then before you know it, you get to a point where Dorothy and myself find ourselves, and 50 just creeps up on you, and you're like, what the heck is happening? Okay. So from 50 to 75 is basically your sunset years, where you are basically just gathering things and making sure that your systems are running according to plan, because now you are preparing for retirement. All right. Here you can see what I'm talking about. Even when it comes to financial commitments, like I said, there's a past, there's a now, and there's a future. All right. This is a chart or a slide that I borrowed from Text Act. They're saying that if you have money available, if you have a windfall that comes your way, think of it as a way of dividing three things. Look at putting it into a debt-free investment. Okay. Look at putting it in savings, and use the last third as lifestyle investments. All right. Okay. This is what they say. The third that I would like to focus on this morning as well is that everybody, or the three things that everybody has, uh, and it depends really on the individual how much or how little of this you have at your disposal. So it is time, it is talent, and it is treasure. Now treasure represents finances, financial well-being. Okay. So the time that you have, I think everybody, as far as I know, has 24 hours in the day. Some of us prefer to sleep 8 hours. Some of us prefer to sleep 5 hours. Some of us prefer to spend 6 hours maybe in front of the tele, or 3 hours, or what amount. But that is also a reflection of where your priorities lie. Okay. Then everybody has some kind of talent, whether it is teaching, whether it is a creative talent, whether it is uh, a talent to do business, whether it is people skills, but everybody is born with some inherent talent. And so if you put your time and your talent together, it will result into treasure, guys. This is important that we understand this, that you don't waste time, because people will tell you that time is money. All right. So it is important that we look at what is my plan. What is my plan? And here I'm going to stop a little bit. I'm going to stop a little bit, and I'm going to ask you guys to share with me, what it is that you do in terms of budget. Okay. How do you, as a person, how do you balance the books? Celine, just switch on your mic, please. I'm going to mention names now because you guys are naughty. You don't want to talk. How is there anything that you like doing that is a definite? What is the first thing that you do when you encounter some amount of money? Celine?
Okay. Um, well, the first thing I do is I put a lot of my money away. And
Okay.
then I say, okay, so this goes for petrol for this month, this goes for that. So I make sure that I have enough for the month and the rest I put away.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Okay. Anybody else who would like to add to that? What is a tip that you can share with us? What is a must-have item on your budget? What is something that you cannot do without? Anybody else?
Hi.
Hi,
National.
name please. Hi, Najma.
Okay, so for me it is I have a bond to pay. So
Okay.
we usually get paid on the last day of the month, but my bond goes off on the first.
Okay.
So I try not to spend any money in that time that is not necessary. So I pay the water bill, I pay electricity, and my trick that I do is I don't go to the store to do my grocery shopping because once you're in the store, you go down
Yeah.
every aisle and you end up buying unnecessary stuff. So I buy
Yeah.
online at Checkers and
Oh,
you have a
wow.
35 item cap, right? So you
Mm.
cannot buy more than 35 items. So I buy what is needed. And if I reach my cap, then I don't, then I take out what is not necessary. So if it's luxuries or whatever the case might be, um, yeah, so I don't end up buying 5 bags of chips like I would have done if I was in the store.
Mm.
And if you add all of those 5 packs of chips, couple of sweets, 5 chocolate bars or whatever, it comes to quite an amount. And it's something that you buy. It's I would say it's impulsive buying because you're in the store, you see it, you want it. Okay. So if I don't have to buy it, then I don't buy it.
Oh, wow. That is amazing, Najma. Anybody else who would like to add to that? Do we have any guys on the chat yet? Anybody else who would like to add to what Najma and Celine said now? Okay. Yeah. Um, exactly what you said, Najma, because there is something called temptation owl. I don't know whether you're familiar with that. There's something called temptation owl, and what happens is it's that owl that runs just before you get to the till, and most shops employs this trick now. Like I know Clicks has it, and Woolies, and so on. So you're standing in this queue, and every nice thing in the world is in this particular aisle. It's supposed to lead you to pay your for your stuff, but now you are tempted to buy biltong and nuts and snacks and whatnot, things that you did not come there to come and buy. So that is so great what you are telling us, that you are buying your things online, so you're not tempted at all to go and look at the temptation aisle. All right, this is a typical budget. This is a typical budget where 10% you keep as money that you can either give away um, to a charity or to a friend or to somebody in need, or anybody for that matter. So in your budget, you allocate 10% of your money. You're not you don't count on that. Okay, 30% of your money you put away, like in the case of Celine, into your savings. All right. Now you are sitting with 60% of your income or of your money, and you have to spend some, and you have to cover your debt with some. Okay? This is in an ideal world, but we all know that everything does not happen in the real world like this. Okay? But this is an idea of a balanced budget. All right? 30, 30, 30, and 10 to give away. Just as I said, you can, for instance, give away to charities, to family, friends, or strangers, or random acts of kindness. You can pay your debts off, like your vehicle, your properties, your studies, which in my book is good debt. And then you obviously have bad debt in credit cards, clothing accounts, cell phone contracts, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so what is good for me might be something totally different for you, and so I'm very careful because, like I said, everybody's finances is so unique and it's so bespoke that you can't. There's no one size fits all. Okay, your spending is your food, your drinks, your fuel, your traveling, like you all know. And then your savings will be your policies, your investments, your bonds that you buy, and stocks when you get to that. Now, we all know, okay, unless um, you guys are from outer space, you always get to a point where you're running out of money. There's more month left than money. Okay. So, how do we counter that? We counter that by employing entrepreneurial ideas. All right. Now, just to give you an idea, that Dorothy and I, we met when we were teenagers. Okay, just to let you in on a little bit of a secret. So we met each other when we were 19 years old, and one of our first acts, or one of our first um, things that we did together as a couple, was to start a little I don't want to call it a brick and brag sale, but we used to sell secondhand clothing because we were planning on going on a tour with a band that we both belonged to. And we then said, we don't have money. We are both students, so we are gonna have to get some money from somewhere. And we got together some secondhand clothing, and we went every Saturday for about 3 or 4 months, and we went to go and sell these clothing items in Elsie's River, where close to where we stayed. And later on, we also started a little boerewors stand. Okay, so at the end of that 4 months, we were sitting with, I think it was close on to 2,000 rand just in spending money that we could use for this tour. I can tell you, ever since that time, we have always, but always been involved in some or other business venture. Okay. Some successful, some less successful. But that is the nature of entrepreneurship, because if you look at entrepreneurship, it is a special kind, it's a special breed of person. Okay. It is somebody who looks at life through a lens of I can versus I can't. It says that the glass is always half full and not half empty. It is looking at a problem and saying, hey, why don't we do that? Have you ever considered doing that? Okay. I have been, like I said to you, I've always been involved with business people. And for some or other reason, business people, I find, are normally the optimists. They're normally more optimistic about the future because in their daily lives, they are looking at other people's livelihood as well. So they have to encourage themselves and they have to be optimistic. And they are by default visionary leaders. So they look at the future and they say, I can see something happening that other people would not normally see. Okay. So those are entrepreneurial characteristics. And if you say to yourself, but I am not that kind of person, I am risk averse. I'm not the kind of person that can look at something and say, hey, listen, 10 of my mates are complaining about something. Why don't I start a business that can address this particular need and then charge them or make it reasonable? Let's say, for instance, everybody was complaining about the petrol price recently. An entrepreneur would say, hey, listen, I will go with my car and then we rotate and start a little bit of a lift club. That is entrepreneurial characteristics. Let's start a lift club and four of us can club and each one can just drive once a month. Okay. That covers my fuel bill. Okay. Somebody, let's say with Eskom, for instance, we look at Eskom and everybody's complaining. Okay. The entrepreneurs looks at Eskom and they start going into solar electricity, and they go into all kinds of new technology in order to counter what they are experiencing. All right. So if you say that this is not me, I cannot do it, then maybe you know of somebody that can do it. And that is where you can come in and say, my budget is much more than what I am getting in, than my income. So I must still make a little bit of money. And this is one of the ways of making money is to get into entrepreneurship. So find that one person or the two people that you know that you can maybe perhaps invest some of your savings and say to him, if it's, I mean, if just make 100% sure that it is a foolproof system and that you can actually see that your friend is really making money, and try and have an exit strategy so that if you invest 1,000 rand, don't, please, people, do not do the Ponzi schemes. There is no quick rich system. Do not put in money into systems where people are promising you put in 1,000 rand and you get in 3 weeks' time you'll get 10,000 rand out. It doesn't work like that. Okay, um, so look at somebody that you can trust and keep your risk low. So if you say to yourself, I can give 1,000 rand away and forget about it. Okay, because that is the nature of investments. It's a long term view. You put money down and you can actually walk away and come after 5 years and have a look and say, okay, my investment grew by 100% over the 5 years. So now instead of having 1,000 rand, I've got 2,000 rand. Okay, so those are the kind of things that you need to look at. And more often than not, in your system, in your ecosystem, there's somebody that is entrepreneurial, uh, and you can just support that person. Okay. So now my question is, what are the benefits of being an entrepreneur? You are able to be financially free in most cases. Okay. In some cases, I should say, you can let your creativity run wild. So you can get up this morning and decide that as a business person, we are not going to work on a Friday afternoon. Okay. We're going to work until 12 o'clock. And from 12 o'clock onwards, I'm going to give my staff off and I am going to just spend quality time, or we all go to a restaurant every Friday afternoon, or we all go play golf, or we all just go and relax at somebody's house with a braai. But you have that kind of freedom and creativity. You can decide that, guys, it's cold in the morning, it's darker in the morning. Let's work from 9 o'clock until 6 o'clock instead of 8 to 5. Or you can, for instance, say, hey, listen, we've got load shedding. Everybody's got load shedding. Let's change our business setup and let's get people to work from home. Okay, the boss can make those kind of decisions, not the employees. All right. You develop a sense of self-worth. You know who you are, because by default, again, you are dealing with other business people who are progressive and who are success driven. And when you have spoken to 5 or 6 successful people, at the end of the day you feel successful. At the same token, if you're speaking to negative people, people who are failing, people who are struggling, at the end of the day, you feel loaded, you feel shackled, you feel downtrodden, and you also feel low. Okay. And then something that is very important to us when you reach that last third of your life is multi generational wealth creation, where you're thinking of what am I able to leave for my kids and for my grandchildren, and perhaps the next generation after that as well. So, financial freedom, and you can talk to anybody, whether it's somebody with a spaza shop or somebody with a cafe or a supermarket. That person will tell you, I just hope that one day one of my kids will be able to take over this business from me. Why? Because I know that the business works and I know that the business has legs. I was at school with a friend of ours, um, and the normal conversation in the class would be, so what would you like to do one day? And Faisal used to say, I'm going to work in my dad's shop. And everybody was like, buddy, I mean, have a bit of ambition, dream a little bit bigger. But you know what? It didn't mean I'm going to go work in my dad's shop as in just work. I'm going to go and do my degree. I'm going to do my BCom degree. I'm going to get my qualification. And then I'm going to go back into my dad's shop and I'm going to build that shop up because he, at that age, could already see the potential of their business. That with a few modern techniques, a few things to be changed, his dad could make so much more money. Okay. And that is exactly what happened. There is one family that, one business person that I will always mention, and perhaps you guys will know him. He is the family that started the Wembley's group, Mr. Gangrika. I was lucky enough to meet him while he was still alive. I'm talking about the senior person. And he was one of my clients while I was working at Transnet. And he used to tell me, Henry, I am doing this for my family. And anybody, if you go into Belgravia Road in Athlone and you look at Wembley's, you feel like you are walking into one of the top stores in the whole country because it's excellent. Everything is excellent. The shelves, the staff, the way he treats. Go to Wembley's bathroom. Do me a favor when you're in that area again. Go to Wembley's bathroom. Okay, it's right next to the roadhouse. You will see what the bathroom looks like. It is the best ablution facilities that I've seen at a shop. Okay, why? Because the owner said, my business is going to be a reflection of who I am. Okay, so Wembley started with a shop. Wembley's have a meat market. They have bakery. Wembley's have a travel agency. Wembley's have factories. Wembley's have properties. So where did it start? It started with somebody with a dream, one person in a family, in a generation that said, I am going to start something so excellent that nobody that comes after me will ever have to work for somebody else if they don't want to. And second of all, will not have lack because I am putting something down for the generations to come. Okay, I just had to share that with you. I'm very passionate about that, and really miss that icon in business, Mr. Gangrika.